This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good night, Jenni Raney Edwards. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful night?
I am fabulous.
It's a good pleasure to connect with you. What parts of the world are you in right now?
Right now I'm in Florida. You know, it's supposed to be the Sunshine States, but it's a little chilly here.
I heard that. My friend said, who is also in Florida, that the equator is losing its size.
I'm thinking so.
So do tell us, which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this specific time in history?
Probably my craziness or my never give up attitude and believe that I can do anything.
Well, yeah, do tell us more, please. I'm looking at your LinkedIn picture here, and I'm seeing a huge RV with an SUV parked up, well, tagged onto it at the back, right? Locked in, right? Tell us more, please.
Right. So about 4 years ago, I needed to go across the country and get to my sons with my two dogs, and that was a crazy thing for me. I loved to travel, but my idea of travel was first-class airfare, 5-star hotels and dining, not staying in little bitty cabins with no running water. So I thought I would rush across the country from Florida to Oregon, get there as soon as I could, and somewhere along the way I fell in love with being on the road and the simplicity of just doing what I wanted when I wanted. So it took me way longer to get there.
Right.
When I came back, I decided to ditch corporate America and buy an RV and sell everything. I moved in.
You'll tell that story.
Experience.
You'll tell that story forever. Your grandchildren, if you don't have grandchildren, I'm sure they'll hear that story. It's an amazing story. So how long did it take from Florida to Oregon the first time?
So the first time, I think I took about 10 days to get there.
Okay.
And now I do it in an RV, and I travel back and forth, and it could take me months to get there because I am totally guilty of, after getting fuel, getting back on the road and going, oh, wait, scenic overlook. I got to go see it.
Wow, that's amazing. So who did you learn that ability to be an adventurer from?
So, I'm not sure, but some things you just don't think about until you're in it again. My grandmother, and I had totally let this slide away back in the back of my mind, but my grandmother bought a motorhome when I was in high school. She hired a driver. She wasn't quite as brave as I was, but she started driving around the country in a motorhome. And now when I see, what was it called? It was I don't remember the name of her motorhome, but when I see that brand, I think of her and think, well, maybe that's where I got my gypsy spirit, because everyone else thought I was totally crazy.
Now, this thing is huge, right? So, I mean, still, it's one thing to be an adventurer, as you said, and purchase a motorhome, but, I mean, this is huge. Like, where did the braveness for this come from?
Well, so I originally bought a fifth wheel. I got rid of the Lexus convertible, and I bought a big truck, and I parked this fifth wheel in an RV park. And I'll never forget, after being here for just a little bit, I decided I wanted to go across the country, and someone helped teach me how to connect the truck to the fifth wheel with pink duct tape as a guide, these stripes. And everybody was a mess. You sure you want to do this by yourself? And I took off across the country. I had more than one issue, and I came back with lots of pink duct tape holding that fifth wheel together. And after having that and making quite a few trips, I decided sometimes I can't find an RV park because I don't book things in advance, because I had to cancel too many of them after doing that scenic overlook thing. And I'd end up sleeping in a rest area or in a scenic overlook. And in the fifth wheel, that's a trailer you pull behind your truck. If it was hot, there was no electricity, there was no heat, there was no air, there was nothing. I couldn't cook, I couldn't do anything. I would be miserable. And so I decided that I needed something different, and I bought it's almost 40 feet, almost a 40-foot motorhome, Class A motorhome. It's like one of those big tour buses. Now, I thought because I had driven my truck pulling a fifth wheel across the country, this would be easy. Not so much. I didn't test drive it. I wrote the dealership a check and went out and I climbed in and I get on the road and I couldn't keep it on the road. I only had 4.5 miles to go, but I couldn't keep it on the road. I kept running off the edge of the road. Wow. I made it to my spot. And someone said, there's this guy from RV school, and he will give you a private lesson. He'll teach you how to drive it. Because I'm thinking, crap, what have I gotten myself into? They're not going to take it back. I'm not going to get to travel. So I call this guy. Oh, my gosh, he rocked. 2 full days of private lessons. And when we finished, after he made me drive through a movie theater parking lot, a mall parking lot, highways, byways, rest areas everywhere, I said, would it be crazy if I wanted to leave next week and go to Oregon for Thanksgiving and see my son? And he kind of laughed. He said, just look at it as practice. Don't look at it as a trip across the country. Wow. You drive as far as you can each day and stop. And I made it all the way and back, and the rest is history. I'm all over the place. I never sit still now.
You are amazing. Well done. I'm proud of you.
Well, I will say, I'm often afraid. It's not that I'm brave. I'm afraid every time I try something new. I just have this belief that I can do anything. I have a ton of faith. And I figure, with that faith and my courage together, I can do anything.
Tell me about bumping down highways.
So along the way, when I left on that first trip that I drove my SUV across the country, people were throwing a fit, so worried about me, this single woman taken off across the country, and too many people wanted me to call them every night and tell them where I was and that I was okay. And I thought, if I do that, I won't ever see anything. I'll be talking to people on the phone all night. And so I agreed to put this battery-powered chandelier I have up in a tree wherever I stopped and post something on Facebook to let everybody know I was okay. So that kind of grew. And then I started, actually, instead of just doing that, typing a short story about the day's adventures, what I saw, what I did, what went wrong, what went right, the craziness of it all. And people kept saying, you should write a book. You should write a book. Well, to write a book, I'd have to really expose way more of me than I thought I was willing to do. I'd have to tell the world about all the stupid mistakes I made. But I kept writing those stories on Facebook, and eventually I decided, you know what? I can do this. I can write this book. So I had my journals that I did every night, and then I had all these Facebook posts, and I typed it all up. It was way too many pages, and started cutting some pages, and then started talking about getting published. I didn't want to do self-publish, but people kept telling me, you might want to. First-time authors don't usually get good traditional publishing contracts, and it could take you forever. I was determined, as in everything else I do. And mid-October, I finished writing. The very first publisher, Post Hill Press, that I pitched to, accepted. Except for I'm the goober that didn't know first-time writers don't get to negotiate a contract. Okay. So I replied to them, yeah, that percentage doesn't work for me. I want twice that. And they said, okay.
Sweet.
So then they said, right? They said, here's when we'll publish it. And I think it was like 2 years out. And I said, yeah, that doesn't work for me. This is really timely, and it needs to be out before summer. Now, this was November, we're talking, and I want it out in 7 months. And they said, okay. So between the middle of October and November 7th, I had a signed publishing contract. The Bumping Down Highways will be on shelves all over the country. Let's see, July 9th. It'll be available on Amazon for pre-sale mid-February. But then, all of a sudden I have this, and I got scared. Oh, what if nobody likes my book? What if it's stupid? I don't know how to write. It's that little voice in your head that says, oh, what have you done now, Jenni? And the interesting thing is that when I start doing that to myself, which I did 2 days ago, I got a LinkedIn message from a CEO of a television network. And I had reached out to this guy and asked him, would you read my book and give me a blurb or something that I can print on the back of it? I was having a challenge getting people to do this. And he said, well, I'm not really a reader. I might browse through it, but I can't promise you anything. Send it to me. Well, when I started beating myself up the other day, I got a LinkedIn message from him, and it said, I started reading your book. I can't put it down. I had to get up and go to a conference that I'd already paid for. I'm at the conference, and it's a break. And again, I'm reading your book. I can't stop reading it. I feel like I'm right there. I will definitely give you a blurb for your book. And it's just like, you know what? I'm nobody. I wasn't a writer. I wasn't an RVer. It just is, you can do anything. You just put it out there, and no matter who you are, no matter how crazy it sounds, you can do anything you set your mind to.
Love it. Well, I will nullify one thing that you said, and that is that you said you're nobody here. I wouldn't allow that on this particular conversation. No, you're definitely somebody, and you're definitely the flower that needed to bloom, possibly. But the seed definitely had the content that was necessary to create everything you are creating. And that's what I believe in response. That is beautiful. You're welcome. That is beautiful. Well, we've blown through our every segment, right? But I need to find out. Please allow me to invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. What was your earliest childhood memory?
My earliest childhood memory is probably kindergarten. Kindergarten. And the most, I remember my first day of kindergarten, the teacher was this big woman. She was a big woman. And when I walked in the door afraid, she just pulled me into her arms and snugged me like she just pulled me into her and hugged me and told me how much fun we were going to have. That's probably, I haven't thought about that in years.
That's intriguing. How do you see that memory connecting to who you are today?
That, oh my gosh, I'm going to have so much fun, and there are always people there to pull me into them and to help me and take care of me.
I love it. Yeah, just like what happened with the CEO, right? As soon as you were feeling down, that message popped up, right? That there will be support. That's pretty cool. I love that. All right. If we fast forward to when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
My favorite song? It was a song, I don't know the name of it, but it was Up on Top of the World, Looking Down on Creation. And the only explanation I can find is the love that I've found.
Wow. All right. It definitely connects. Wow. All right, my friend. Well, we've arrived at our destination. But before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Jenni?
I'm ready.
Jenni, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to? Yes or no?
I'm looking every day.
Yes or no? Are you married?
Yes. No.
Do you have children?
Yes.
Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
Or about 3 hours a week?
No.
What about screen time, the phone and the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
It's more than 8.
If you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents Jenni Edwards, what would you say that is?
No matter how crazy it may sound, follow your dreams.
Love it.
Do it today.
Love it. Jenni, this has been a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
No, just thank you for having me tonight and for spending the time with me and reminding me of some pretty amazing memories.
Definitely my pleasure. Where's the best place for someone that's listening to connect with you?
You can connect with me via email, Jenni, Jenni, at bumpingdownhighways.com or through my website, www.bumpingdownhighways.com.
Love it, Jenni Edwards. Thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a great night.
This segment has been brought to you by Amazel Enterprise.